Hi, everybody. I'm Romy. For those of you that are new joining us on Leader Circle Mastermind, I am so excited to be here today. I feel really good today. I've had a couple of weeks, probably more than a couple of weeks, of a little bit of stress. If you follow me, you know it's been a little stressful. So it's taken me a little bit to get my feet underneath me and get rested up and all of that. And I've been listening to Audible books all week. Like when I go to bed at night, I listen to the books I've just plugged in. And so I've gone through quite a few books. And so I've just been feeding myself mentally and emotionally and spiritually and resting physically. So I have my husband here with me. So this is Mark, for those of you that don't know. And I actually asked him to join me because we are talking about our story today, and Mark is part of my story. So before we get started, we are going to do the giveaway. So Amber mentioned last week that she was going to do a giveaway. So I'm going to pick a number. Actually, pick a number.
Between what?
Pick a number from 1 to 20, Mark.
21. 14.
14. So Karen Hilbert is our winner. She's
Awesome.
number 14 on my list, and she wins the Take the Stairs book. So we'll get that shipped right out to you. And Karen, if you will message me your address, that will help speed the process up, and we'll get that right out to you.
Awesome. Congratulations. So let's do a quick week in review, and we'll take a couple of shares on, I want some shares on the personal development side of things. So you want to share a book that you've read and what you got out of it. That would be fabulous. It can be Audible as well.
I'll share. This is Tamika. Can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm reading Being a Starfish. I've already read Go Pro. I've got a lot out of that, particularly that I talk too much. So I've been learning active listening and how to slow down, because I also talk really fast. So learning to listen more and go a little slower and not talk so much. So I always have a notebook so I can stick to points, and I can feel myself going off topic, so I stop and then I wait. So and I got a lot more out of that too, but the biggest thing was to slow down and stick to my point.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. One more.
I'll do one, Romy.
Okay.
So, forgive the language, but I just finished listening to You Are a Badass at Making Money.
Love.
And it is fantastic. So I know that I am very much someone who has money blocks. And I feel like this book, in a very funny, I'm kind of have a potty mouth sometimes. And so it's very funny to me. But anyways, it helped to sort of shine some light on those blocks. But better than that is it actually kind of gave ideas on how to overcome them. So it's definitely one I want to go back and re-listen to and actually take extensive notes. And there's like little activities to do at the end of every chapter. So anyway, it's very, very good. So if you haven't read it or listened to it, I highly recommend.
Yeah, I highly recommend it as well. If foul language offends you, don't get it. However, it is it's very good if you can just move past that part. The concept and the philosophy is very good. There's people that spend hundreds of dollars for coaching to help them to move past their money blocks, and this is a great, inexpensive place to start. It's fantastic. So I also I did the little bookmarks on my Audible so I could go back and do some of the exercises. I'm actually on my second time around listening to it, so I think it's very good. So that was actually recommended to me by Kenzie, so I'm just kind of passing along the recommendation. So I'm going to do one oil quick, and then we're going to move into it. So I just wanted to share my new favorite oil, and it is neroli. And I think neroli, to me, is a really good, it's a really good confirmation of what smell can do for us. So it can be reminders of good and bad memories. It can just, our senses are very, very powerful. And so when I first started using the oils, good grief, I can't believe I'm so quick about this. My Grammy used to use, her perfume used to be Lily of the Valley. And when I first started using the oils, I was wishing that they had something like that that would remind me of her. And neroli is that warm and fuzzy for me. And so it's just one of those things. The oils can be used for anything, comfort, healing, whatever. And so I just wanted to share that with you. My favorite. Love it, love it. So I am excited about talking about this topic today. And so I've prayed about what I was going to talk about. My brain is running like a million miles an hour. I have so much I want to share. So if I happen to go past the time, which there's a good chance I might, somebody wave at me and say, okay, we're done. So over the last few weeks, there's been a couple of words that have been coming up often, and that is advocate and warrior. And so I'm going to share my story first, and then I have some notes, so I'm hoping that I can kind of stay on track, and if not, then I guess God had something else in mind. So my story is about true freedom, and I believe that our story starts from the time that we're born. I believe that we are born with a destiny, and there's different things that happen throughout our life that can take us on that path to our destiny. Sometimes it can waylay us. There's just different things that happen in our life, but in general, I believe that we will fulfill our destiny. It's just a matter of when. And if we can stay focused on that and really believe that we have an amazing destiny, every single one of us, and not listen to the enemy or what people say, or own the bad things that have happened to us in our life, I believe that we will fulfill our destiny. And for me, I believe that some of the trials and tribulations that we go through in our life are what make us stronger and help us to be able to help other people on their journey. So before doTERRA, I had a job. I was an office manager, and we also had a homeless ministry. So during my job, Mark and I worked every day, and then we would go out and we would go to the homeless camps twice a week, and we would take supplies to them, food and blankets, and just love. And our goal in that was to build relationships with them, because our pretty much what God told us to do is just to go and let them know that He loved them no matter what. And so that was our motto for that, was loving everyone and serving anyone. And it was, we had a scripture that went with it, and it was, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. And so for me, I believe that my story started well before doTERRA, and that our life before doTERRA and what led me to doTERRA really was something that made our business even stronger, I believe, because I was able to implement, I mean, it's just love. Loving people is pretty duplicatable. You know, serving people and loving people, it doesn't get any more simple than that. And so in leading up to that, what brought me to doTERRA specifically is that I'm going to try and do this compliantly, but I have a difficult time with compliance with my story, just so you know. So I had surgery and it put me into surgical menopause. And it just so happened that before I had the surgery, I was really, really tired before all of this happened. Mark and I we had quite a bit of loss with our homeless friends. We had a lot of heartbreak. And we really loved them. And when people that you love die, it really rends the spirit. It just, I think that we just kind of got sick with a broken heart, literally, at times. And so I was weak emotionally and physically before I had the surgery. So it made it harder for me to manage what came after the surgery. And so for those of you that don't know, when you have surgery and it puts you into surgical menopause, it puts your body into a really bad spot. Like, it just sends your body into shock, I think. And one of the things that hurt me is that I had the lack of knowledge. I didn't know that that's what would happen. And so over the course of 2 years, I slipped into clinical depression. And I can't really say I slipped, because I pretty much fought my way trying to stay out of clinical depression, and it just didn't matter what I did. I just couldn't fix it. And I consider myself a pretty independent and strong person. And so I had a really hard time with the feeling of being weak, because I couldn't fix it. And so I was embarrassed. And so I didn't, people in my life knew what was going on, but not really in depth, right? Mark didn't know how bad it was until I was coming out on the other side. So I really did a lot of that, for the most part, by myself, because I was embarrassed. And so to me, there's a lot of different lessons in this to be able to help other people. I mean, for one thing, being depression and that kind of stuff, it's not a weakness. It's not something to be ashamed of. And so it's just a tool to be able to help other people. If you have someone with depression in your life, that you know that that's probably something that's happening with them. So you know better how to address that with them. So I ended up meeting Natalie Rigby online, and it just so happened it was a post through Melissa Pershawn and Lateran and Natalie. It was just like this whole thing that came together, and that's how I came to start to use doTERRA. And so, mind you, over the course of 2 years, I literally tried everything. I tried the naturopaths, I tried the IVs, I tried the banana bags with all the, the vitamins, and I tried regular hormones, I tried bioidentical hormones, you name it, I tried it, trying to fix myself. And that's one of the things too, it's like we try and fix ourselves, like it's all on us. And so I have faith. I am a woman of faith. I believe that God can heal us just like that. And but I believe God also has other tools that he can bring about healing for us. And so I believe 100% that God sent that post into my life, and I believe that God sent doTERRA into my life to save my life. And so it's super easy for me to share that part of my story, because I believe 100% that my future was pretty sketchy before I found doTERRA. And so when I try and encourage people to share their story and share the oils with people and just share life in general with people to be able to help them, I try and encourage them to see the bigger picture, because if Natalie would have been hesitant or worried about what somebody would think, or just kept her mouth shut, I don't know where I would be today. And so I think that we all have people in our lives that have, I know we have people in our lives, they all need something of what we have. It might not be the oils. It might just be us. It might be the comfort that we can bring people. And so I believe that the sooner we can move out of that that fear of what man will think, the easier it will be for us to share our story and to be able to affect change in other people's lives. So quickly, I just want to share with you, just in case you're wondering, excuse me, the products that I use are frankincense and Lifelong Vitality Pack. We've talked about this before. Mark fills my vitamin packet, and I am not consistent, and he is on my butt constantly. So consistency is key. Even though we know something works for us, we really need to do it. We just need to do it. And then recently, this spring, I actually was starting to flounder a little bit. I was also diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I do not claim Hashimoto's. I have symptoms of Hashimoto's, just so you know. So I'm working on that, but I was struggling because the thyroid issues affect our hormones, affect the moods. And so I was struggling again with some depression and anxiety. So I just happened to get an appointment with Dr. Riggs. And I've talked to some people about this, and it was fantastic to be able to see a doctor that was a doctor and still was knowledgeable about using the oils. So when doTERRA talks about having that new healthcare initiative, it's so much bigger than what people realize it is. It is fantastic to have that knowledge, that person that has the actual medical knowledge, and also be able to incorporate the natural solutions as well. So he prescribed to me Serenity Soft Gels for the symptoms of the depression and the anxiety and all of that. And the reason that he gave me for that is that they did a study in PubMed, it's in there, that between Paxil and lavender, finding that lavender gives you the same results as Paxil does without the side effects. So now when people reach out to me and ask about those symptoms, the Serenity Soft Gels is what I recommend right out of the gate, as well as the Lifelong Vitality Pack and the frankincense. So, on to your story. So, when you think about your story doesn't need to be exaggerated. And I hear some people because they feel like their story is not big enough or good enough. And your story doesn't have to be anything but your story. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be you, because what you have is what someone is praying for. And the more authentic you are, the more you're going to be able to help. So that's what I have for that. And then, so when you think about your story, you want to think about what's your message, what do you stand for, who needs what you have to offer, and become a product of the product. So we are sharing oils for a solution in people's lives. But to me, I look at the oils as a tool. When we had the homeless ministry, our Harleys were a tool to be able to draw people to us, to be able to start conversation to be able to have that opportunity to build that relationship and love on people. And with the oils, we have, it's a double benefit there, because we do have a tool that is very beneficial to people. But for me, it's a tool to be able to have that opportunity to build that relationship and to be able to help educate and just love on people, and just to be able to share with people that life is good. Life is meant to be good. We are meant to be blessed. And yeah, we're going to have hard times. Everybody has hard times. But if we take those hard times and use them as our launching point and use them as a tool to be able to help more people, then it will be better. So going through the depression and all of that, it was hell. It was hell on earth. Oh my gosh. I would never choose to go back and do it again. But if I didn't and hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have you guys in my life. I wouldn't have the blessings that I have in my life. And so I believe that God makes good out of bad situations. And I don't believe that God gives us those bad situations. But I believe that He's there to bring us through that and bring good out of it. And so it is a matter of just hang on. If it's bad, just hang on, because it's going to get better. It just will. It just has to. It just does. So one of the things with the challenge, that if you haven't watched the video yet this week, I encourage you to watch it, because thank you. Because you're going to have a challenge on there, and it is about your story. So one of the things that I'd like you to think about in your story is what you want your message to be. We have in-depth stories, and then we have elevator stories. So we are not I do not share this full in-depth story with everybody that I meet. I really pay attention to what the intuition, or I listen to God, and I can tell who needs what part of my story. And sometimes when I'm done talking, I don't even remember what I said, but it was the right thing. So you want to just trust your gut when you're sharing your elevator story. So the main thing is be authentic in your story. It is yours. And moving into that, it's a matter of looking ahead of, why are you sharing your story? Why are you doing doTERRA as a business? Why are you doing any of this? And so the idea is to look ahead and really allow yourself to start dreaming. So one of the assignments in there was to read the book, what's that? Your Why. I have it written down. I can't remember. Jeez. Start with your why. Is that what it is? Okay. So I think having your why is fantastic, but I think there's a place to start even before your why, and that is to start the dreaming process. It is what you want. If nothing stood in your way, if you knew that you would not fail, what do you want? And that is where you're going to move into your why. So the why is going to be really the deep nuts and bolts passion of your business, but the what is going to get you to your why. I believe that when I started, people would talk about your why, and your why should make you cry and all of that. And I believe that your why should definitely make your heart thump. You should have a passion behind your why, that you will not stop no matter what happens. But I believe in order to get to that why, you have to start with the dreaming, and you have to start to dream big, and you have to believe that you're worthy, and you have to really go with what you want. And then you'll go back, and then you'll start to dig deeper into that, and you'll figure out why it is that you want that big house. I want the big house because that big house will be warm, and it will pull, you know, my family and the people that I love in there, and it will make me feel good, and, you know, different things like that. You really want to feel your why, and you want to taste it and see it and all of that. It has to be that deep. And I believe that it starts with your what. So I wanted to share real quick. We're moving into I'm running out of time phase. So one of the reasons that I want you to really focus on your what's and your dreaming is because, for one, they change. They will. What you start with today will not be what it is 5 years from now. You want to start with where you're at, but also allow yourself to expand. And so when we very first started, were we Diamond when we gave the motorcycle away? Yeah. So we made Diamond in a little over 2 years, and at that point, we were able to give Mark's Harley to our pastor. That was an amazing feeling. It was, yeah, cool, amazing. Yeah.
I cried for 3 days. Not because I was getting rid of my Harley, but because we were able to do it.
So it's about being able to give. And so when I started, one of my dreams was to be able to give something to my parents. I think we all have that dream. We just want to be able to bless our folks in whatever way that is. And we went through a really rough time back and forth, and I realized at one point that dream had died, or it fell into a deep coma, because I didn't think that it would ever happen. And so it just wasn't on, it happened, but it wasn't on my timetable. So that's another thing. We can continue to dream and hang on, and don't ever, ever let go of your dreams. Even if it looks like it's not going to happen, don't let go of your dreams. And so the timetable happens to be longer than I wanted it to be. So this spring, my mom and dad shifted into a point of receiving. And so this summer, Mark and I, and actually our whole family, was able to pull together and be able to buy my mom and dad a motorhome. And so my mom and dad leave Wednesday in their motorhome to go to Utah to spend time with my daughter, and then they will spend the winter down on the Colorado River with us, and winter with us. And so dreams are really powerful. To me, it's really, really important to get in there and go for your dreams, and don't allow anything to squelch those dreams. Dream so big that you have to sit back and wonder, oh my gosh. You know, you just tell yourself sometimes, I don't see how this will ever happen. But it will, if you allow yourself to get in there and do it. And it's not a matter of dreaming, saying you want it, and sit back and just let it happen. You do have to do the work. There is work involved, but it is your mind. A lot of it is your mind in that regard. So our weekly challenge is to watch the video and incorporate those challenges into your week. And my challenge is your why. What is it that you really want? What would you go for if you knew you couldn't fail? Begin to explore your life without limits. Start out by writing an abstract. So it doesn't have to be super detailed right now. Just go big. If it's a big house, just say it's a big house. Then you can go back in and fill it in. But for right now, just make it very abstract and very big, and just write it down. And then when you're done with that, then go back in and start to fill in the details. Your details will be ever changing. I promise you, they will be ever changing. And then I want you to tell your accountability partner or your mentor. what those dreams are, what your why is, and really practice your story and know that your story is valuable. That's what I got. 11:33. Maybe we did it in 30 minutes. Sorry, Amber. All right, does anybody have any comments? Anything you want to share? Questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I had not had my dreams coming to fulfillment until late this summer, and all of a sudden my dream is to serve the stroke community in the way that they've been serving me. And I have the stroke protocol in 10 states right now.
Wow.
Yes. Everywhere from the East Coast to the West Coast. And it's suddenly happening. I can go to these stroke survivors and say, I have these oils, let me give you samples of this protocol. You're going to be amazed.
Nice.
And they have been finally turning to me and saying, okay, it takes a long time for us stroke survivors to become those stroke thrivers, but it's happening now. And so if you haven't had it happen to you yet, it will. Just keep plugging away, like Romy says.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
I love you, Romy. Thanks for sharing your story. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's a question from Susie. She said, say or send us the last part of your why. Could not write that fast. So you said, I think, share it with your mentor or your accountability partner.
Yeah. Is that what you're missing? So it's,
I think
what is it that you really want? What would you go for if you knew you couldn't fail? Begin to explore your life without limits. Start out by writing an abstract. Don't worry about the details. Write it out. Go back in and fill in the details, and then share with your accountability partner or mentor.
Thank you. What a great challenge.
Where do we find the video?
That is posted in the Leader Circle group. So it should be, I don't think it's pinned, but it should be right close to the top. So it's your story. Actually, what is that says that? What does it say, Amber?
Yeah, it is. It's James Bybee, your story, and I'll go in and pin it so it is at the top.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, great call, Romy. I love your story. And I remember the video of when you and Mark gave his Harley away, and it was definitely tugged at my heartstrings, because I have those same sort of dreams to be able to just be so generous and be able to just give. And doTERRA's allowed me to do that to some extent, and I look forward to even more of that. So, and no, I want to also just reiterate that your why changes. In the beginning, my why was just little, and I wouldn't even have thought about doing the things that I'm doing now with my why. And so it evolves to whatever level that you're at. So, and every why is important. Even if it's just just the littlest thing, it's important. So acknowledge that and own it.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Sometimes your why is not what you want, but sometimes it's what you don't want. My why when I first started was to quit my job. I just needed to be done with my job, like, so bad. So it was something that I didn't want before I started moving towards what I did want. So,
I guess I have a comment.
okay.
So your why is your most powerful thing, but sometimes what God wants for you is maybe different than what your why is. But I know without doTERRA, I took in 2 horses last night for a friend that's dying from stage 5 ovarian cancer. Without doTERRA in my life and my amazing team, I would have been able to offer her that option to take care of her horses while she goes through treatment. If she makes it, that's wonderful. But if not, you know, she knows right now that her horses are taken care of and they have a place to land. So even though our why is great and we haven't reached that big why, all the little things in between that come, count them as they go along. I wouldn't have a home without doTERRA. I wouldn't have, I have like 12 cats and like a million dogs, and now I have 6 horses to take care of. Yes, I massage horses, but my income is doTERRA. That is my bread and butter. And without it, we wouldn't have this home, and I wouldn't have been able to take care of these horses. So always remember and count the blessings as you go along as your why. Even though we get deterred a little bit, always hold on to that and just keep pushing forward. So that is my comment as far as keep chasing your why and keep going after it, but don't forget to count the little things along the way.
That's awesome. Thank you. And taking somebody's horses when they're sick like that, that's not a little thing. That's a really big thing. The comfort that she must be feeling that you're able to take care of her in that way must be huge. So, that was awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So like that, your whole story resonated with me. I was listening to you thinking like, yeah, me too. I was an office manager assistant for 15 years and I was miserable and kept getting sicker and was extremely depressed, clinical depression, was on medication for anxiety and on all these things, and was becoming more and more forgetful. I was misdiagnosed for many, many years, not knowing I had leukemia for many years. And so I kept getting sicker and sicker until doTERRA came along. And a month after I got doTERRA in my life, I was feeling better, but that's when the diagnosis finally came. Then I had to learn about that. So sometimes my why is a little bigger for people, and people are like, well, I'm not bad then. So it can't, and I do agree with, not everybody needs that story. You know, my why came from, I might have had chronic leukemia since I was a little kid. And all I went through adolescence, being different, not able to play with other kids, not able to jump into the pool, not able to have water balloon fights because it hurt so bad. If I temperature changed really quickly, I hurt really bad, and I was always different. And everything that I learned over the years, learning how to control it and using doTERRA with different symptoms, trying to figure out what is this from? Is this from the central thrombocythemia, or is this normal headache, or do I have a blood clot? It's a lot to take in and try to figure out, and learning that. So I wanted to focus on helping other people not go through what I went through for the last 2 decades, and to be able to understand their body and know their body. And not necessarily for everybody with leukemia, but just people, period, because you never know if you don't pay attention to what you're going through. And I want to help everybody not have to go through the deep depression and not have to go through the isolation, because I too try to deal with that by myself, and I would go into the closet. I didn't want my children to see me like that. I didn't want my husband to see me like that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. So it touched me so much, and I appreciate you sharing. I totally get it.
Thank you. You got anything? Okay. All right. if nobody has a burning desire, we're going to get off because I definitely took it too long. So I just want to thank you guys for showing up. I'm really glad to see you guys. I'm excited to be able to start back up and do this every week and be able to see you guys. Thanks for showing up and thanks for joining us. Reach out if you need anything from any of us. We are available for your questions. And make friends in the group. Those cross-line friendships and relationships are very powerful. Reach out, help each other, love on each other, celebrate each other. Super, super important. That's what this group is for. We're building a tribe. We have an amazing community of people. So let's use it. And have an amazing week. Love you guys.